Hey, what's up, guys? So, in this video, I'm going to tell you the story of the biggest guy I ever came across throughout all my time in jail and prisons. All right? So, this guy I came across was in a county jail, and the first time he and I ever met each other or had any words was on some fucked up shit. It was about to be some fighting kind of shit. And the reason is because I didn't even know who the guy was. When you're in a county jail and you're in an open unit, as I was during this time, there's almost 150 people in there at all times. So people are coming in and out, getting bailed out, new people get put in. So it's not like later on where I was in maximum security units where everyone basically is there for long periods of time. Not that often that people are changing. So people were coming in and leaving every single day. So I wasn't aware of who's there all the time. So during that time, I had already been there for some time. I had zero problems in the jail. Nobody fucked with me. Matter of fact, I lived very well. I was considered very wealthy in the jail because I was able to max out my canteen commissary purchase every time. So I also shared a lot because of that. A lot of guys are living just on estate food, on the county shit. It's crap. And when I'm in a unit like that, when I'm in an area, I feel guilty eating in front of other people when I have so much. So I would always share. Not only the stuff that I had that I bought, but every day I was getting 2 to 3 loaves of bread for free from the kitchen. So that bread is basically what I used to make sandwiches and share whatever I was eating with like 10 people every day. On this day, it was a Spanish guy who went downstairs. I was on the top tier. It's a 3-story cell block. I'm on the top tier. This guy went down to grab the food that we were going to eat and make sandwiches from. We call it the hookup. And we would warm it up in a hot pot. It's like a metal boiling pot of water. It's all the way down by the cops downstairs on the ground floor of the unit. So we put our food that we mixed up in a plastic bag and put it in that hot water for however many minutes, 5-10 minutes. And that's how we used to warm up our food. Everybody used the same one hot pot in the whole entire tier. So I send this kid down to go get the food. As he's coming up, somebody bumps into him and knocks all the food down onto the floor. It's all gone. He comes up to me and he's like almost in tears. And I'm like, what happened? He told me some fucking guy just bumped the shit out of me, knocked all the food out of my hands, and it all fell. I'm so sorry. And he's like, I told the guy the food's not even mine, it's Hollywood's. And he's like, man, fuck you, and I don't give a fuck whose it is. And basically, this kid's telling me this guy was being real disrespectful to me. The problem with that is, like I said, first of all, I don't even know who's who in this jail, but you can't take disrespect lightly. It's so stupid. In the streets, I avoid problems. I have a rule where I don't fight for anything unless you fucking put your hands on me or I have a very serious reason. You've threatened me or something. I'm not fighting over words. I don't give a fuck about that, ego, disrespect shit. But in jail, you have to. It's just a different world, different set of circumstances. So when he said that, I was like, the guy didn't apologize. He didn't say nothing. He's like, nah, he was just basically being disrespectful, like, fuck you. So I was like, all right, well, show me who he is. So he went to the railing on the 3rd tier and looked down, and he pointed to a guy. He pointed to the biggest fucking guy I have ever seen in my life. I was like, oh, man, don't tell me it's that fucking giant down there. That's the guy that knocked the shit off? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, man. Anybody else would have been better than him. So I still had no choice. So I had to go down there. So I go down there, and I confronted the guy. And I pulled him on the side. I needed to talk to him. He's like, what's up? I was like, yo, so you just bumped into some fucking Spanish kid, knocked all his shit out of his fucking hands, and disrespected him. He told you the food was mine. You said you didn't give a fuck. He's like, he looked at me confused. Now, let me tell you about this guy, all right? He's 6'9" tall, black dude, okay? And jacked. His nickname was 6'9", I came to find out. The most creative thing I've ever heard in my life. But this guy looked at me like I was fucking crazy. Turned his head and looked at me like I was fucking insane. And he's like, you got a lot of fucking balls to come down here and talk to me like this. And I was like, look, All I'm trying to do is make sure we're on the same page, that you're not disrespecting me for any reason. I see how fucking big you are. I don't even know who the fuck you are. I don't want no problems with anybody over some dumb shit. Fuck the food. I don't care about that. But I can't let you disrespect me. And again, he's like, man, you got a lot of fucking balls. But we squashed it right there. He appreciated what I said to him, and he did apologize and say, my bad, I'm sorry, whatever. We moved on from there. So a couple months later, I see this guy. I'm in lockup. Some shit happened. I'm doing a month in the hole. And when you're in the hole, you get fed the food through the key port. They have a steel door, and it's like a little opening like this that the cop puts his key in, opens it, pops it open, and they put your food in there. Okay, in some places, it's the actual cops who serve you the food and just drop it in there. If you're not there to catch the tray, it just falls right on the ground and your food is done. Garbage. They don't give a fuck. They're very disrespectful about it. But in this place, it turned out that this guy was the one serving the food. He had like worked his way up to a workers tier, and he's serving the food now to the lockup unit. So this guy actually now, because I had known him from that other unit, he and I were cool, and we started talking when he was serving me the food. Not only was he cool with me, but he actually started delivering messages for me, back and forth. He gave me a pen when I needed a pen. He brought me stamps. So the guy was very, very cool, went out of his way for me. He'd give me extra food, extra slice of bread whenever he could, which means a lot. It sounds like nothing, but I'm fucking starving in there. So he was real cool with me. Anytime I had a chance to talk to him by the door, we would talk. And I remember we were talking about working out one day. And I asked him, I was like, man, you're fucking big as hell. You must have fucking put up crazy weight. You must be fucking strong as fuck. And he was telling me, he's like, this is nothing what you see now. He was still fresh off the streets, a couple months off the streets. A lot of these guys, when they go to prison, go to jail, they get huge. Then they lose all their size. They don't work out when they're in the streets. They're fucked up on drugs, whatever it is. They're not eating as much, and they lose all their size. At that time, he told me he weighed 290 pounds at 6'9". And I'm telling you, this guy was huge. He told me this is nothing. He said, when I was down in state prison, I was fucking 400 pounds solid. And I remember just thinking myself like, man, this motherfucker I'm looking up to like this. Imagine him being 400 pounds jacked and solid. This is the worst kind of fucking person you ever want to have a problem with. And I was so happy that he and I were cool with each other. And on that first day, we didn't clash. Because listen, as crazy as it sounds, guys, whether I got myself fucking hurt real bad or not, which I don't think I would have because I was real smart about how I did things, I had no choice but to act. If that guy continued to show disrespect when I went down and talked to him, I would have had no fucking choice but to attack this man. One way or another, shit was going to happen. So I was very fortunate that it didn't, because it could have turned out real bad for me, because this guy was literally a giant. When I was standing in front of him, I'm 5'9". So I'm looking up at him. He's a whole foot taller, and at that time, 100 pounds heavier. And I can't imagine him being 200 pounds heavier than me. But nevertheless, he and I were cool. He helped me out a lot when I was fucked up in lockup. And I got out of the hole there, went back to my maximum security unit now. We didn't see each other. And then years later, I ended up seeing him again in Leesburg at another prison called Bayside. So I just ran into him there, and we talked, and we were friendly for the time we were there together. And he was about to be released and go home. So it was a short-lived time that we had together in that last place. But for the time he and I crossed paths, we were very cool with each other. I respected greatly that he didn't, try to get crazy with me like he easily could have. This guy is the perfect candidate for someone who could have been a real fucking bully. I remember one time he just put his hand up like this to me to show me his hand size. And I'm telling you, his hand was like this big. Fucking gigantic. Like, he's the kind of guy who looks like he could just palm somebody and lift them up. So, in any case, it was an interesting story. I thought I'd share it with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope that guy's doing well now in the streets. I don't know. I haven't heard anything for years. Thank you for listening.